longer going to work in the United States no more. I'm John, that's me in the headdress. I've worn a few headdresses in my life. I was once a chief executive officer and a founder of a publicly traded company in Detroit, Michigan. I worked very hard, privilege, power, a lush life, living in posh Grosse Pointe, poof one day, gone, failure, staring into a void, seeing the shambles of invincibility, looking at a punctured self-grandiosity. What did I do? It's time to jump on a motorcycle, try to figure things on out. It's a habit that I have to this day. In July of 1999, I had another headdress removed, a failed marriage, decided to motorcycle across the United States, and just outside of Crested Butte, Colorado, I walked into a fly fishing resort, introduced myself to a woman. She said, "I'm Fiona Tanner from Papua New Guinea." I go, "Papa what? Do you want to go for a motorcycle ride? Only if it's a Harley." Of course, I had a Harley, and 18 years later, now my wife, it's been one extreme ride. What I want to share with you over the next few minutes is a segment of my journey into vulnerability. And I'm going to take 4 extreme examples in remote Papua New Guinea and discuss vulnerability at its extreme, where you may get wounded, and then you weigh out whether it's worth the risk with uncertain rewards. Now, Papua New Guinea is located just north of Australia, the size of California. And cannibalism, at least in our area, ceased in 1963. Our home was built over a river, surrounded by 3 mountain fronts, no electricity. We had no satellite phone, no running water. I mean, we were out there. But surrounded with Jurassic valleys filled with begonias, impatiens, orchids, 9-inch wing butterflies, believe it or not, and of course the bird of paradise. And every single evening, Fiona and I would sit on that screen porch, and hundreds of fireflies would come out and congregate, and I'd be sipping out of a tin cup with maybe whiskey in it. She'd be sipping a glass of wine. And it's a beautiful setting, and I want you to come in just for the next few minutes and enjoy these tales from Papua New Guinea with me. I want to introduce Chief Stafford to you first.
Hey! Who are you?
Fiona and I were going in and out of the outer islands of Papua New Guinea up until mid-2005. Then we decided it was time to go into the remote interior of Papua New Guinea, and we wanted to go up to the Monogalas Plateau to view the farmers, coffee farmers, burning their coffee beans in protest against middlemen, cheaters, and politicians that were putting the benefits in their pockets and not the farmers. Chief Stafford wanted to meet me. It was 50 men in a pavilion, sat down, and the first question he asked me, "Why are you here?" One of the first times in my life I responded, "I do know not why. I don't know why I'm here, but I do know that I want to be here." In that split second, the lesson of humility struck me in a very distinct way, that I did not try to overpower, over-credential, overstate myself, but just move into a place to know that I did not have to know. And that was a big act of vulnerability for me. I think within that split second, my own egocentricity somewhere just shrank just a little, and this humility upped a little. And it was enough for a touching point with this wiry old chief, where we struck a deal, a fair deal, where he convinced me to come back from America with my business skills, and he would supply coffee beans to our company to build a coffee company. At the end of that meeting, he came on up, and he shook my hand and called me Tall Bada, big white man, and we became respectful friends. Now, I'd like you to join me in the wedding in Tabawani. And these 2 men right here were there to post to make sure that I was not going to run away from my own wedding. And in fact, it was a 1,000-year ceremony, and you couldn't blame me after 2 marriages that I wanted to run away that particular morning. What they did is they took me down to a river, and this is going back 1,000 years right now in terms of a ceremony, and they started to scrub and wash and feather and bead me. I couldn't stop laughing. And they're laughing at me, and it continued for about an hour and a half. When that was done, it was time to go down into the village of Talbawani. Fiona was brought out of a hut. Just looked gorgeous. The 3 pigs are right there. And within a split second, I traded the 3 pigs for my wife, and we're husband and wife right there. That simple, that quick. I always thought that was a bargain. I'm not sure to this day that Fiona feels the same way. But in a split second, Father Daniel in Anglican robes comes on out under a tin roof and states, "Ladies and gentlemen, it was not long ago that we would not be marrying John and Fiona, we would be eating them." That's a fact. Now that's the village idiot, big-time CEO right there. The vulnerability thus and foolishness surprised me. Within that melee right there, a control freak was out of control. And by permitting myself to be out of control, I moved into the present and connected one human being to another, one emotion to another, foolishness to foolishness, and it permitted me to make contact, human contact. My big lesson right here is that emotional empathy does break down barriers. And as a result, my self-trust increased. Now, I want to talk to you about the pig at Kiera. A messenger was sent on over to my house to inform me that I was going to be honored with the pig, and I'd be the first white person ever to step in this village. Pig is a pretty big deal. $250 US, that's about a year's worth of income to one of those villagers. But more than that, we worked hard. 4 to 5 years of driving this coffee, certified organic, Rainforest Alliance into the world market. Nestle's buying it, Whole Foods buying it. But the money was in their pockets. And they were buying rice, flour, paying for school fees, and putting roofing iron on the tops of their home to keep out the rain. Is it true, James? First white people in this village? True? Yes. True.
Do you come to Syrian Road?
I come here as a friend.
Let the gate open here at Hamas.
Yes, a beautiful, beautiful word. On the way over there that day, I about soiled on my pants on 3 different occasions. 3 men with machetes stepped right outside of the rainforest and said, "White man, you go back." We moved forward because we had more machetes than they did. Soon after that, young woman would jump out of the rainforest to grab Fiona's hair, to touch blonde hair. They've never seen blonde hair before, or look at her blue eyes and pale skin. I had the urge right there to soil my pants a couple times. Right after that, men jumped out and started to throw spears at my feet. Fiona, of course, her posture throughout that afternoon, "Darling, the closer the spears, the more you're welcomed." She was fearless. We finally moved into the village itself. I'm surrounded by ancient faces of the clan chiefs. They present me with the pig, and we had a feast. The vulnerability lesson for me was a deep one right here, and it had to do with worthiness. Now, on a side comment, you can soil your pants or have the feeling of doing that, and I believed that was not really a sign of weakness. I believe it was an act of vulnerability, and most CEOs that I coach believe that as well. But more important was a gift that was given to me for a conditioned mind, for me to be that open, to go that far in my life, to have that pig as a reward, worthiness, and legitimacy right into my heart. Now that's a headdress that's there forever, never go away. Now, I'd like to share with you 5 years ago today, August 16th, 2012, I'm in the city of Papua and things aren't going well. There was a fear that was percolating within me. It wasn't spears, it wasn't machetes. I couldn't put my arms around it, but I felt threatened, and so did Fiona. We pieced together that our own vulnerability was actually creating jealousy and vengeance from the same middlemen and politicians. We encroached on their power. The first time in 7 years, I permitted a firearm. We hired out 2 policemen and an M16 to follow us in a vehicle. Right outside of Papua, 5 men lunged on out with what we thought were spears. Were M1 rifles from World War II and started to fire. Fiona screeched. That bullet went right behind us, below the fuel drums. It's over. And we looked at one another. The other vehicle came on up. Policeman with an M16 shot one of the assassins. They dragged his body into the kunai grass. Within 8 weeks, I'm back in Grosse Pointe, Michigan. I'm looking at a wall, not to see Fiona nor our daughters for 13 months. The company, a total loss. And I went into a pit, an abyss, crawled my way out of it, put some meaning into a book, wrote a book. It was effective therapy for me. The fear, the lesson of fear, I don't have my arms around that one yet. It's not as clear as the other lessons. It's a powerful conditioner, but I had one of 2 decisions to make. One choice was to become invulnerable and to close myself down and become mistrustful, or to remain vulnerable and pry myself open to get on that highway and move forward. And I chose the second one, and I believe my heart today is better off for it. The reflections on vulnerability: it takes a lot of courage, and more than likely you will be wounded. It's a willful act. I believe it's important to permit yourself to use your vulnerability attempts as a catalyst for future growth. Include them, don't exclude them. Is it worth it? You're going to have to find that out. For me, it was. But I do believe in the attempt. Mother Earth, or Earthkind, humankind will be enriched. I think all of us will be better off for it. And thank you for joining me in this campfire and listening with vulnerability. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.